Now, one of the beauties of the Eurobike show is the fact that it's absolutely jam-packed full of hot new tech. Now, before we go on, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also press that little notification bell so you get alerted each and every time we put a video live. But, well, let's go and see what we can find today. Now, some of you out there may well recognise this here, the shock stop suspension stem. Now, we featured that back on the GCN Tech Show in one of the first ever episodes. And well, fast forward 18 months, we've got seat posts now too. So it's a bit more elegant, I guess you could say, than a lot of suspension seat posts out there. And it's even got a really satisfying cover, kind of like a mud guard, if you like, which goes on the back with a lovely noise. I can't stop playing with that. Now, it's got a cold spring inside of it and also adjustable preload here. You can see at the bottom there. Now, I can actually turn it. I've even surprised myself by my own strength. It's got 35 millimetres of travel, which is probably enough to give you a little bit of respite over some rough roads. And that stem, in case you've forgotten, has got between 10 and 20 millimetres. If you've got rough roads, maybe this could be the thing for you. Now, with bike packing really taking off, you're seeing more and more riders going out fully equipped, and sometimes you even wondered yourself, you've even got room for the kitchen sink. Well, the good news is, these bars are called the kitchen sink. Now, they're a gravel-orientated bar, and they come in widths from a whopping 41 centimetres, or really, that's not that whopping, but the whopping end of the scale is 50 centimetres wide. And they even have an optional aero loop too on them, as you can see here, so you can attach all sorts of gubbins or maybe your arms into an aerodynamic position. They've also got some endurance grips as well. Now, these ones remind me of the covering of one of my favourite cheeses, Edam cheese. I'm reluctant to take them off the bars in case there is a little bit of cheese underneath, but I've been told they are not actually going to come in this red colour. Instead, they will come in black. This is just a pre-production sample. Bike washing, probably something you don't want to hear me talking about. Well, you may not have to hear me talking about it all that much in the future if these products from Bicycle Armour take off. It's a ceramic coating, so essentially it's going to protect your bike from mud, rain, salt, all sorts of types of corrosion, I guess, if you don't like to keep on top of your maintenance. And I know some of you out there don't like to do that, but how exactly does it work? Well, it's a multi-stage system, and I've got a few of the products behind me here. First up, we've got a dirt buster or a dirt cleaner of the bike, followed up by something here which is the paint medic. Everything here is kind of got a bit of a military feel to it. So the paint medic essentially removes any deep scratches from the lacquer of your bike or any ingrained dirt, removes that with some good old-fashioned elbow grease too. You've also got a coating prep here, so it's a bit like a primer. And then we've got a couple of the actual treatments here. Now, they come with either a 3-year guarantee or a 6-year guarantee. It's pretty much something really for actually a bicycle dealer to apply themselves, because at the end of it, you get a certification on exactly what's been done to your bike. So whether or not you've got a 3-year guarantee or a 6-year guarantee. Enough of me waffling though. I think we should actually see how it works in the real world. But how exactly does it work? Well, luckily for me, I've got a pool of manky and muddy water here to do the test on this bit of carbon sheet. Now, this half has already been coated with Bicycle Armour and this half not. I must just say as well, you can also apply this onto a matte finish frame, and it doesn't turn it into a glossy finish frame, which is absolutely great news. If you've got a matte frame, you want to keep it matte. Right, enough of this, let's have a look.
Hello. So this is seriously exciting for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I'm playing Zwift on a massive screen. It's like playing Zwift on an IMAX, which is really, really surreal, really cool. And secondly, I'm getting to ride the World's Course in Harrogate in Yorkshire, which at the time of making the video isn't out yet, but I think when we publish this video, it will be out. This is really exciting for me because I've been here and I've previewed this course. We've done a video on it, you can check it out. But it's quite surreal riding a virtual world in a place that you've actually been. But this particular section of the course, you can't actually ride it in real life because it's the finishing straight and it's actually a one-way street, but you can do it in Zwift. The only real disadvantage, though, is in real life you can stop off at Betty's Tea Room on the finish straight and grab yourself a fat rascal and a brew. Can't really do that in Zwift yet.
I'm here on the stand of Challenge tyres. I'm a massive fan of them, if for just one reason alone, and that's the fact they make gum sidewalls on their tyres, but also they make highly flexible and handmade tyres. Now, these ones particularly come with 300 TPI, so that's threads per inch. So that means that you've got a really supple tyre when you're riding along. So if you've got a little bump in the road or a stone or something like that, instead of there being a rigid tyre where you're just going to hit into it, instead you kind of go over it. I mean, obviously I've exaggerated slightly there, but some updates they've put onto these tyres in particular is actually a rim protection strip. So sometimes tubeless tyres, which these ones are, can be a little bit incompatible with certain rim combinations out there. Luckily, I've got one here. I can show you exactly what it's like. So it's done from edge to edge, and it means it's just a slight increase, I guess, and sort of takes up any differences in tolerances, and it's not going to have any chafing, which you can find sometimes with some tyre and rim combinations. I do like that. That's in a 36mm width as well. Absolute whopper. But let's move on, because we've got a tubular, or is it a tubeless? I don't know, but I guess it's a tubular. No, in fact, I'm going to call it a tubular. So we've got a standard tubular tyre here, and on the inside of it you can see there's actually a latex liner, so it's actually glued onto or bonded onto the inside of the carcass of the tyre. So that means if you were riding along and you have a puncture in your gravel race, you can put a plug in there or some sealant, anything like that, and it will work, because you don't have an inner tube which is floating around on the inside of the carcass of that tyre. That could save you quite a lot of time and also potentially be a race-winning thing. I'd like that.
SKS is widely known for its mud guards, but they have a cool little gadget here at Eurobike. It's called the Air Spy. It's a digital pressure gauge that attaches onto your valve of your wheel and can tell you in real time what the pressure is inside your tyre on your smartphone or a head unit. Pretty neat. It's got an anti-theft mechanism so that it can't be taken off by naughty people when you park it up at a cafe. And it's also compatible with Presta and Schrader valves and tubeless systems as well. Now, why might you want a device like this? Well, apart from the fact it can tell you your pressure in real time, it can track how that changes. So if you're riding in a really hot environment and you pumped your tyres up in a cool environment, the pressure can get really high, and sometimes that can cause you to get a puncture. Or if you have a puncture while you're out riding and then you re-inflate your tyre, you'll know exactly how much tyre pressure you've actually put in there, because that, well, acts as a digital gauge. I think it's pretty cool, but it'd be interesting to see if this kind of technology actually finds its way inside, integrated into wheels in the future. That would be something.
The cables on your bike are so important, and when I see that people don't necessarily take very good care or really even bother about upgrading them, I get a little bit sad inside, because a mistimed gear shift can really ruin your bike ride, as can poor braking quality. And coupled up with sometimes bikes have very intricate internal routing, or strange routing at least, on their frames. Well, something like this from Jaguar can save yourself a lot of aggro when you're out on the bike, because they're super flexible, because the actual cables themselves are linked up. Each individual piece is joined together, which allows you to have a super flexible run of cable, because inside of there you've got a liner which your inner cable runs through, and essentially allows you to route it oh so perfectly, in my opinion anyway. Now they come in a variety of different colours here too, and you can even save yourself a bit of weight on them too, because the shift cables, you're going to save about 20% over a traditional cable, and for braking 50%. Add that up over a bike and that's quite a lot of weight you could save for probably not quite a lot of money. Of course, if those link style cables don't tickle your fancy, or if they're not necessarily required to use on your bike, you could customise the colours of them too, including one of my favourites there, Celeste, and also Sid Blue. I do like that blue with the old RockShox Sid forks. But Jaguar themselves actually offer a complete ecosystem, if you like, when it comes to cabling on a bicycle. They offer all sorts of gubbins, I think I can call them, where you can connect cables to stop them from rubbing on one another or crisscrossing, and keeping them nice and clean in appearance, as well as something which I think is really good, and it wasn't offered up until quite recently, and it was like quite a thick foam core which went around the outside of a cable so that when you put it internally inside of a frame it didn't rattle. Yet consumer demand allowed them to actually produce it, and they've even got a cutaway bike frame on their stand so you can see exactly how the cable systems work inside. I love things like that. Here with the Bell Z20 Mips helmet, a helmet which actually has a couple of different safety features in it, other than of course the EPS foam. First up is the Mips Liner inside, and it's quite a slimmed down version from the original Mips Liners that we had. So the liner has this slip plate technology, which means that basically it just gently moves inside, meaning that your head isn't going to have any sudden jerky movements. But the other feature I'm going to bring to your attention, you probably can't see it, is actually this silver reflective paint on the outside. Now I'm going to have to do a little bit of trickery now by getting out my mobile phone and using the flash to display it, but I like it. It's quite understated, and at first you just think it's a yellow and silver helmet.
Rotor has got a brand new power meter. It's called the InSpider, and, well, clues in the name, it's a spider-based power meter, a bit like the Quark D0 and D4. Now, this differs from Rotor's existing power meters, the twin power and the in-power, as well. The in-power is axle-based, and the twin power is both crank arm-based and axle-based. Now, it's designed to sit in between those. So the in-power offers left leg power measurement only, and then doubles that. The twin power offers independent right and left leg measurement, whereas the Spider measures your total power output but isn't individually measuring each leg. Consequently, the price point will sit between those two as well. It's USB rechargeable, and Rotor also has the idea that when they sell new crank sets, it's going to be an optional upgrade that you can then bolt on to the crank set if you want to upgrade to power at a later date. There's some neat little features, so I'm just going to put it down on the table so I can show you. This is actually an optional aero cover that you can use to make the system a bit more flush and a bit neater. I'm just going to take that off. Oh, there you go. This is a narrow wide chain ring, but it's compatible with 1x and 2x setups. And then this is the unit itself. I'm told that availability for the InSpider is going to be in October of this year.
This is the brand new Argon 18 Krypton Pro endurance bike. And normally endurance bikes, they look a little bit more, I don't know, not quite as fast paced, if that makes sense. But this, to me, looks like an absolute road race machine. But due to the layup of the carbon and the frame design and everything, it is slightly more relaxed and a bit more of a comfortable ride, I guess you could say. The cool thing about this bike, I reckon, is the really cool integration of both the cables and also the mudguard or fender mounts that are on the inside of both the seat stays as well as the inside of the forks there too. Now, the way they've integrated the cables and the hoses on this bike is done through this sort of handy little rubber gasket, if you like, up here on the stem, meaning that everything is just tucked away inside of there and you don't see anything until they just exit here and here, down there on that opposing chainstay. And well, the rear ones you can barely see at all. And then continuing the trend as well, we've got one of these sort of set back derailleur hangers too, meaning that basically you can use the direct mount system on the Shimano rear derailleur. It's going to give you a slightly more precise gear shift.
Zwift have got a really exciting prototype thing on display, and you might be wondering why I'm riding a mountain bike in Zwift. And that's because they've set up a 2-kilometre off-road stretch with this prototype steering functionality in it as well. It's, as I'm going to stress at the moment, just a prototype, but it's a sign of things to come and what's going to happen in indoor training. And I think it's really exciting that the experience is going to become even more immersive and with even more... I can't even stay in a straight line at the moment. I'm going to try and crash, actually. Hang on. No, it won't let me crash into those deer, but... yeah, it's actually quite good fun. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how indoor training becomes even more immersive and how you can have even more inputs from the rider into the experience. Cool.
So there we are, some more bits of great new tech on show here. Let me know which of them is your favourite down there in the comments section below. And also remember to like and share this video with your friends too. And don't forget to check out the GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. For more great content from Eurobike, how about clicking just down here and over there.